everybody, this is Jenna.
And this is Heather.
And this is Conspiracies Unlocked. And we are just going to dive straight into our episode today, which is all about Edgar Allan Poe. And he is known for his great contribution to the literary world. He had a bunch of poems, a bunch of short stories, and it's including my favorite, The Telltale Heart, as well as The Raven, The Mask of the Red Death, The Pit and the Pendulum, and Annabelle Lee, as well as The Fall of the House of Usher, which actually premiered. They made a little 8-episode miniseries about this, and it premiered on October 12th, 2023 on Netflix.
Oh, wow.
I have seen the just the screen for it, but I've never even seen the previews for it, and now I cannot wait to watch it.
I didn't know that they had anything on Netflix about Edgar Allan Poe.
It's not about it, just it's his adaptation of that short story.
Okay.
And it's an 8 miniseries show. So, and I love those. So it's almost like the House on Haunted Hill. Do you remember those like little miniseries?
Little mini ones.
Yeah, they're like what are they called? Anthology series, like American Horror Story. So every anyways.
Yeah.
So while I was looking up Edgar Allan Poe, I also saw that there's actually a Telltale Heart movie. There's a bunch of different movies of his works.
And then I know that there's obviously numerous different books, but they did plays too, right? I'm pretty sure that there was plays.
Did they? I'm sure, because the first movie was in like the 40s or 50s. And then even in like 2009, there was a movie that was made, and I forget what the name was. And then there was another movie in like 2012. Like there was a whole Edgar Allan Poe like reprisal in the 2010s. Like it was crazy. Like I can't believe that all this, that there was so much just in our media, in our not social media, but entertainment media.
Yeah, and honestly, the only one that I really know is The Raven.
I don't even know that one, but I think that there is the movie on it.
There's a movie? Okay. Yeah, I remember reading it, and I just remember like the Raven like tapping at the door, right? Was it window or door?
I don't know. I don't remember that one. That's a you thing.
Yeah.
The Telltale Heart I always loved because it was about the person who murdered the other person, buried the body underneath the floorboards.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And then he kept hearing the heartbeat. So he dug up the body and all this stuff and did all this work to find out that it was just like the watch on the guy.
Oh, it wasn't even the heart.
It wasn't even the heart. The dude was dead. But there was like police coming, so he got caught anyways. Yeah.
That's
karma,
creepy.
bitch.
So it's like he thought that he buried him alive,
and
or
he
something.
thought that he was
he had
still
to finish the job.
Yeah. That's just always, since I was little. How psycho is that?
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
I don't know. I love watching like crime films and documentaries and stuff.
Me too.
So
yeah,
I can see the appeal.
I was like 7 when that became my favorite, and I know who that was. That's why I'm like, I was really little. I think that's where Cody gets it from. my newly 6-year-old. He just turned 6.
Oh, happy birthday, Cody.
Yeah, so that was fun. Anyways, so Edgar Allan Poe, let me just do a little background. What we're going to do is talk about his mysterious death. He died under such weird circumstances that nobody actually knows how he died. And he was like, he wasn't that he was just famous after death. He was famous before death. Mm-hmm. So it's not like these artists and stuff that are like, oh, all of a sudden they die and they are super famous. That's always the running joke with painters, right? Their work is only valuable after they're dead. It wasn't like that with him. He was already well known. He was already established. And nobody actually knows how or why he died. Which makes no sense. Because if anybody that is
What year did he die?
1848.
So there wasn't really much forensic science.
No, There wasn't much of anything, as we'll find out. So let's just get into his life a little bit. A quick little bio. I'll tell you one thing. It won't be a quick little bio. Because I kind of dug deep into his... But it all comes back. So you have to understand him to understand some of the theories as to why he possibly could have been murdered. You know, all the different reasons of his possible theories of death.
Okay.
So, he was born January 19th, 1809 in Boston, Massachusetts. His father was David Poe Jr. and his mother was Elizabeth Arnold Hopkins. They were both actor and actress.
Oh.
Okay, so I was like, wait, and I had to like check back again, like, wait, is it 1909 or 1809? Like, actress, what the fuck? They were called actors and actresses on the stage. So they were like doing plays. And that was, I didn't even think of that.
Well, yeah,
that would make sense, but I didn't think of it.
Oh, you forgot about plays.
I forgot. Well, I know plays now, but I didn't think that people were like performing shit in the that would mean that they've been performing in the 1700s. They had plays.
Oh, they've always had. I don't know how far back it goes, but yeah,
entertainment.
They had entertainment.
Jesters for the royal court.
Yeah,
even in the Romans. The Romans had the whole lion eating people for entertainment.
Lion eating people?
Yeah, in Caesar's palace. in the what is it, Notre Dame?
Are you talking about like gladiator fight?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Isn't that where the lion comes out and eats the people?
I don't know if the lion comes out and eats the people, but it would not shock me if they had lions eating people for entertainment in the Roman times.
And then that's a Notre Dame, right? Or what's the Colosseum? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, Notre Dame is a college, isn't it?
But before that, it was Notre Dame. I think is where oh my gosh, the gargoyles are around it, and Hunchback of Notre Dame lives.
We talked about this in another episode.
We might have, but I always got to bring it back to Disney.
You talked about that in something else.
I don't even like that. I hate that movie. Anyways,
why did we bring that up?
I've only watched that movie like once or twice in my life. That's why it took me so long to figure out what the name of it was.
Have you seen that, since you brought up Rome, have you seen the trend going around about people asking their, like, husband or boyfriend?
How often do you think about Rome?
Yeah.
The Roman Empire?
Yeah.
So,
did you ever ask Brad?
I did, and he's like, why? What? No. He was all confused.
He's like, never.
Yeah. And ever since then, though, I keep thinking about the Roman Empire and the downfall of the Roman Empire.
Well, because they were so, like, I guess, powerful. So if they can fall, anyone can fall. But we already know anyone can fall.
Yeah. True. So, anyways, so Dad left. His father left him when he was 1. And then his mom died when he was 2 of TB, tuberculosis.
The White Plague.
Is that what that was called?
Yeah, the tuberculosis is the White Plague because of the anemic. Because when you get tuberculosis, you become extremely anemic. And when you're anemic, your whole skin and everything turns like white.
Oh, wow.
And you get sores all over your face and mouth and nose. And
I used to be, like, I was anemic. Like, I probably still am. I'm always anemic.
Yeah, but not from tuberculosis.
But not from TB. I never had any sores or anything. I was just always cold.
I mean, now they have vaccines.
And the doctors would say, go have a steak once a week. Build up your iron levels.
Yeah, but that would make sense for the era because...
No, it does. And it's a continuing theme in the story.
Yeah, so tuberculosis was really bad for a long time.
So he obviously had a pretty hard beginning of his life. So at that point, all of his brothers and sisters, because he had, I didn't write it down for some reason, but he had like 5 brothers and sisters at that point.
So there's a pretty big family.
They all were taken to different areas, different everything, like gone. Like they all got separated.
To live with different family members.
Foster families. So he ended up going with, get this, he ended up going with John Allan was his foster father. That is why his name is Edgar Allan Poe. Poe after his bio father, Allan after his
he took
fosters.
On both names.
Yeah.
I always thought Edgar Allan Poe was just like a pen name.
No, he uses so many pen names though.
Oh, he does.
He does, but no, that's his real name is Edgar Allan Poe.
Okay.
And John Allan was so hard on little Edgar, and he sent him to, like, he ended up going to London. They moved the whole family to London, which, from what I understand, it is common to send your children to, like, boarding schools in London. It's very common in the UK to do that, especially back then. I don't know how common it is now, but it is a recurring theme that I constantly see, just in various, like, books and stuff.
It's still
I think it
pretty
is,
common. I know a woman who's, she's like in her 70s, but she went to a boarding school. All of her siblings went to a boarding school.
It's just kind of normal to go there and live. And I know I read a few books, like, obviously, like, nonfiction novel books about that. And then also Mean Girls 2.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Is it Mean Girls 2?
I haven't seen that yet.
Maybe it's not Mean Girls 2. It might not be Mean Girls 2. I think no, it's not. Oh. Sorry, I just had, like, a flashback of that. One of those little, like, prissy little girl movies that came out recently, not recently, like, when I was too old to probably be watching it.
Well, Mean Girls 2 just came out.
No, that's a classic, the musical. Mean Girls 2 actually came out in, like, 2014 or so. But anyways, there was a movie about the girl going to boarding school there. Anyways, so Edgar, he sent back to...
So what you're trying to say is you recently watched a movie where someone went to boarding school.
That is correct. Not recent, years ago. Anyways, so Edgar Allan Poe was sent to grammar school in Scotland and then 2 other boarding schools in London.
Okay.
But, like, that was kind of
standard.
What people did, you know? So that's not so bad. But he just never felt like wanted or, like, anything by them. Edgar moved back home with John Allan in 1820, and he was only 11 years old. And then he was just, like, shuffled around so much. So at this point, he's gone to 3 boarding schools, and he just keeps...
No stability.
Yeah.
And lack of love, and probably lack of attention, and lack of...
Anything.
Maybe
Any
care.
familial... Anything. Yeah.
Yeah,
so.
familiar.
No, familial, like, family. Like, no
family. Yeah.
So, March 1825... his foster uncle died, Uncle William Galt, but he was actually close to him. And he was kind of a family member that he had. And he left John Allan more than $20 million in today's money.
Oh, wow. They were wealthy.
Yes. At this time, Sarah Elmira Royster was his girlfriend, his little, like, high school girlfriend.
Okay.
And now it's 1824. The year's 1824, and they met when they were only 15. They were young, total high school sweethearts. But Sarah's dad was like, "Fuck off! No, you cannot be with this boy," because it's not like he had money. Nothing was left to him. It was only left to the foster dad, who treated him like shit because foster dad already had other kids.
Oh, so he didn't really benefit from any of those funds.
No.
Other than maybe his private school education, which would be a benefit, because maybe not everyone would be able to afford that. Could be a luxury for some.
But that happened when he was 16 when that happened. That was 15, 16.
But he would still be in private school for high school, wouldn't he?
Yeah, I'm not sure. But so 1826, he was 17, and he went to the University of Virginia. And he studied ancient and modern languages. So yes, if foster dad John Allan paid for this, then he definitely did benefit from the money.
I mean, at least for education, that's good. Yeah.
Yes, because I'm sure that a lot of people wouldn't be able to afford university. I mean, even now, people can't afford university. I can't afford university.
Oh, but wait a minute. This is Europe. Don't they have free university?
No, because now they're back in America. University of Virginia.
Oh, Virginia. Okay.
Yeah, they move around a lot, so there was no stability for him.
Okay.
Edgar dropped out 1 year in.
Oh.
This will also be a recurring theme of his stability that keeps ever changing, ever flowing. When he got back home, he found out that Sarah had married someone else. because Sarah thought that they were over. He moved. He never contacted her. They were just high school sweethearts. Sorry.
Never sent a pigeon.
Well, found out that her dad, who was having none of it, was hiding letters. He wrote her all the time.
Oh, that's like in the Notebook.
I know.
That's so sad.
Isn't that shitty?
Yeah.
So, April 1827, he went to Boston and he became a newspaper writer. So this is what he likes. This is his deal. He likes to write, but he used a fake name.
Okay.
Yeah. Henry Le Rennet. And this wouldn't be the first fake name he used. He used fake names left and right. Like, I'm sure that there is so much more work that he has done out there that we don't even know, because we don't know all of his fake names that was used. Because obviously records back then were not that great. I mean, it's the early 1800s.
Yeah.
It's not like they have computers and digital files.
Yeah, but I think that they
didn't.
They have a lot of records from
You'll
farther
see.
back, though.
Yes, they do. Certain ones, but...
Not in pertaining to some random kid that's working for the paper.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
So, but the problem with that is that Edgar was not making, like, any money. And so he's just poor in Boston by himself, not making any money. He just left university. He's like, what the fuck am I gonna do? He enlisted in the army.
Oh, okay. In the United States Army?
Yep.
Oh.
But he was only 17.
I think a lot of people joined.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. He was only 18, but he said he was 22. He also used the name Edgar A. Perry.
When he signed up?
Uh-huh.
But can't you sign up when you're 18?
Yeah. So I don't know why. Maybe back then you couldn't. Or maybe for what he wanted to do, you couldn't. He only made $5 a month being in the military.
I don't know, because my grandfather was in the Army in 1907, and he was...
This was 100 years prior.
Oh, that's right. You're talking about 18.
Yeah, I know. You have to keep, like...
Yeah, I'm just thinking, I know as old as 1900s.
Well, even my dad enlisted in 1960s, late 60s or early 70s or something, and he was, he had to say he was only 17 and he lied, said that he was 18.
Yeah, my dad.
So even 50 years ago, you could lie and they wouldn't catch you.
Well, my dad.
You know, that's crazy.
Father also did that when he was 17 for the Marines.
Yeah, so you think about it, and it's crazy that even 50 years ago, they didn't have the technology to really, like, track you.
Or maybe the parents signed that it was okay.
No, not for my dad.
I don't know if it's even possible.
No, my dad, like, ran. Peace, bitches, I'm out. But no, it's just interesting because even 50 years ago, they didn't have the technology to track everybody the way it was. And we're talking about 200 years ago.
Yeah, before that.
150 years ago, before that, 200 years ago. There was really no way to track anybody. So he made $5 a month, which is equivalent to $156 today.
But I've seen pictures of soldiers, too, that were like 12, 13. Like, you could see that, like, they're very, very young.
Yeah, I don't think they give a shit.
Yeah,
they were
they
just like,
care.
you say that you're 22, perfect, bye.
Yeah.
Like, that's fine. Yeah. So, anyways, he was serving at Fort Independence in Boston Harbor.
Wait, hold on a second. I'm sorry. I interrupted you.
You did.
How much did you say he made?
Exactly.
Yeah, say that again.
$5 a month.
Month?
Which is equivalent to $156 today, which doesn't seem right.
I mean, maybe bread was like a penny or something.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So, he was serving at Fort Independence, which is in Boston Harbor, when he released his first book. It was a poetry book called Tamerlane and Other Poems. It was only 40 pages. So I'm like, and there was only 50 copies made. So what I'm thinking is that maybe he just had kind of like pamphlets made, like soft cover, not a real like hardbind book, right?
No, probably not. That's like an equivalent of like selling your mixtape out of the back of your car, your truck,
or giving them away.
Yeah.
So instead of using his real name, though, once again, he used how do you say the word
A pen name?
No, a pseudonym. P-S-E, I can spell it, I can't say it. P-S-Y-E-U-D.
Synonym?
No. Anyways.
Wait, pseudo.
Yeah, pseudonym. A pseudonym. Pseudonym is short for pseudonym.
I can't say S's. I have a speech impediment.
No, but it's P-S. That's what's fucking with me.
But it sounds like an S.
Yeah, the P is silent, like in Psycho.
Yeah.
Alright, anyways. So, instead of using his name, he said that, he said where the author's name would go, it was said, written by a Bostonian. That was it. There was no, author, there was nothing. He did really well in the military. He moved up the military ranks and ended up in the highest rank that a non-commissioned officer could achieve.
Wow.
So he was just going up the ranks, doing great.
I think he would have made more than $5 a month then.
Yeah, except as per his, do something for a year and move on, he went back to his commanding officer and was like, hey, by the way, this is my real name and this is my real age. I'm out. I lied. Can I go out now? Thanks. And
I'm done playing soldier now.
Yeah. Okay. And his commanding officer, so he just told his commanding officer, everything.
He outed himself.
Yeah. And his commanding officer would only allow Edgar to leave if he reconciled with his foster father. Remember, this is 200 years ago. So they were more like heart and loving and what, I don't know.
Daddy says it's okay or what? Like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I don't know. Because I think that the commanding officer maybe actually cared for him, maybe, and wanted to make sure that he wasn't just going to fuck over his life and he could get a place
he didn't have a place to go. And
maybe.
He knew that his foster dad had millions. So he's like, make it right with him.
Yeah. So the foster father, he kept writing his John Allan, and John Allan kept ignoring Edgar. Even when his foster mother was sick and died, John Allan never told him. He found out, and she died February 28th, 1829, and Edgar ended up visiting the day after her burial, still enlisted in the military.
Okay.
But then he got to see his foster father face to face. That is when John Allan's heart must have been breaking, hurting, sad, and he decided to help him out and help him get out of the military. However, to get out of the military, there was another condition.
They had to pay or what?
No.
Oh.
If you want to call out of your job, right,
Mm-hmm.
and there's certain jobs where they're like, okay, you want the day off, find your replacement.
Oh, okay, yeah. Coverage.
Find a cover.
You need a
You need cover. So
yeah.
Find somebody to cover you, and then we'll move on.
So you need to find a new recruit?
You need to find someone to cover you to fulfill your position for the rest of your enlistment.
That would be really hard.
Isn't that crazy? Isn't that fucking wild? What the fuck?
That would be really difficult to find someone who wanted to enlist. And then what if he had at least 3 years left?
Yeah.
I don't know how long his
Isn't
agreement
that
was.
so fucking weird? So
nowadays they probably just throw you in jail.
Yes.
And be like, you're AWOL.
Yeah.
Go to the brig or go to the whatever.
You would, yes.
Yeah,
but I remember 200 years ago, shit was done different.
Well, in the Army, they don't have a brig, right? They have something else. The brig is in the Navy.
I don't fucking know. I thought that was just all military police.
I don't know.
All military jail was the brig. I don't know, but the brig does seem like a
because we both knew
thing,
Navy things.
Marine,
Yeah, Marine. This
Anyways.
is the Army.
Yeah, got nothing. So, he found someone, and he was.
He found someone.
He did.
He's enlisting his little cousin. He's like, okay, this is gonna be good for you.
His little cousin comes into play later, much worse.
Oh, there is a little cousin.
There is little cousins that come into play. So but you have to think that he also had to find someone that was rank enough to take his place. So then that person
ranked up.
Yeah, so he would have to go down and be like, hey, do you want to take my place? And then that person would be like, hey, do you want to take my place? And then that person would be like, hey, do you want to take my place?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you think about it, it's a tassel. So he was finally discharged April 15th, 1829. Then in September, he got like just this fantastic review from a very influential poetry critic named John Neal. So this like critic is coming out being like, hey, your work is great, I like your work, and giving it like 5 stars, right? So now he's like, dude, maybe I should be a writer. So then he wrote a second book. And it was Al Arif, Tamerlane, and Minor Poems. So Tamerlane comes again, and I'm not sure what Tamerlane is, but it just keeps coming up. October 1830, his foster father, John Allan, married his second wife, who did not like the previous kids, especially Edgar.
It's so weird to me that he would marry someone who does not like his children.
I don't think he didn't know then until after they were married, and then she was like, fine. So he was once again like just disowned and poo-pooed from his family.
Oh, she left him?
She made John Allan disown his kids.
Oh, he went along with it.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So Edgar was like, peace, and he ended up back in New York. And February 1831, he released a third volume of poems, and it was titled Poems. Why not?
Easy enough.
So once he had out these different books, he's already been in newspapers, stuff like that. He's getting good reviews. He devotes full time to being a writer. And he's actually one of the first ever American writers to be a full-time writer and just devote his time to writing and just be like, my occupation, writer, author.
So he paved the way for...
He started it.
Yeah.
The reason why this wasn't okay, like this wasn't common, is because there were no international copyright laws in place at that time. So American publishers would take the shit from the UK writers or British authors, and they would steal their shit, bring it to America, and then they wouldn't have to pay American authors.
Yeah.
So why would you pay for this when you already have this for free and it's working out?
That's shady though.
Yeah. So then in 1835, he became assistant editor to the Southern Literary Magazine, and he was fired a few weeks later for being a drunk. I promise all this I skipped over a lot of his like biography stuff. I'm only giving you key points that will go into the whole conspiracy of his death. So I'm telling you key points to further
setting up the story for the death.
So
the mysterious stuff.
So at that point, Edgar went to Baltimore, and lived with his. I know I'm tapping you because it's really gnarly what I'm about to say.
Okay. Who did he live with?
He lived with his aunt.
Okay.
And then he married his cousin, Virginia.
Ugh. Why do people do that?
I don't know, but he was 26.
Don't tell me she was like 10 or something.
13. She was 13 years old.
It's just as bad.
And they all lied and said she was 21 to get married. After they got married, he got his job back with the promise that he would be good and, I'll be good. I'm married now. So the aunt, the cousin, and Edgar, his new wife, the cousin, moved back to the Southern Literary Magazine, where that was. I forget where that was. Oh my gosh. I don't know where that was. But he moved back there. I think it was in Virginia. Or, no, that was the cousin's name. Oh, gosh, I'm getting all mixed up. Sorry. I read a lot about Edgar's life, and he moved a lot.
That's so he got married and he moved back to a previous residence.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Sorry.
That's
he just moved every year. He'd be in a new location. That's why I was like, I'm only giving you the snippets that are, like, important.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
a marriage, that's a life-changing event.
Yes. So in his first year there, because he only stays at places for a year, circulation went from 700 So they would like circulate 700 magazines each issue to 3,500.
Oh, yeah, that's a good jump.
Yeah. And he was actually there for 2 years, so he must have liked it there.
Mm-hmm.
And then in 1839, he was assistant editor at Burton's Gentleman's Magazine. And then in 1840, he went to Graham's Magazine, and he was very successful. All the while, he was publishing numerous different books, and at that point, he became very, like, well-known, household name during this time. He became very prominent, and everybody knew who he was.
And he was using his name.
His name.
Yeah.
And during that time, he was using different names, as well as his name. So he had, the past 10 years, he's been using, or 15 years, he's been using this person's name, whatever, fake names, and then his own names, and just, So in June 1840, Edgar announced, I'm going to start my own magazine, The Stylus.
Okay.
However, he'd never got to.
Oh.
He died. Death.
Before he got to start his own.
Yes. At the same time, he also got into politics. Mm-hmm. He wanted to be appointed to the United States Custom House in Philadelphia. And he was friends with the president's son, Robert. Not the president of the United States, but the president of the United States Custom House in Philadelphia.
Okay.
Edgar missed a very important meeting with Robert and on September 1842. He said he was sick. His wife, Virginia, had TB since January 1842.
Oh, that's sad. She must have been horribly unwell.
Yeah, and now he's sick 9 months later and can't make it to a very important meeting. And this meeting was the meeting to kind of get him in the door. Like, he had already had previous meetings. He had already been setting things up. But this was the meeting to, like, this is what we're going to do to get you. This is the last step, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So for him to miss that, that's not okay.
And he would never intentionally miss that.
No. Well, Robert was like, he just was kind of like, oh, you're drunk, whatever. Because he was such a drunk, supposedly.
It was like gaslighting him, or what?
Yeah, kind of. And so, because Virginia was sick, Edgar drank like a shit ton. And then she died January 30th, 1947. So that's 5 years.
Well, you have to think about when people had tuberculosis.
That's 5 years of suffering.
It was a horrible death.
For 5 years?
If you look at the images of people who had tuberculosis back then, now it's different unless you live, like, as long as you live in a developed country that has vaccines and, and I'm not, like, for vaccines for everything or whatever, but, like, if you can get a vaccine for TB, like, you don't want to die at the White Death, the White Plague.
My uncle got TB. He's dead now, but he didn't die from TB. He got it, I was like 10, and he just died like a few years ago from totally different stuff. But he survived TB somehow. So there is, even if you do get it, there is like...
There's treatments.
There's treatments now, I guess.
The images that I saw, it turns into like a flesh-eating disease. Like, your nose will be like gone, your ears will be gone. Like,
all the cartilage.
Like
the cartilage first.
Like a lot, yeah. Like your fingers are like turned black, and like everything dies. Like you die.
That's crazy.
Like,
die from within.
Yeah, it's like not just people think TB and they just think lungs, because that's what I always thought. Like, you're just coughing a lot and you feel unwell, and it's
I didn't really put any consideration
because
to what it was ever in my life.
It spreads through coughing.
Oh, okay.
Like through the air particles, like the droplets and stuff in the air. And other ways, I think maybe if you don't clean surfaces properly, you cough on. If I sneeze on something, and then obviously, But basically, it's like really horrible. Like, she probably had like spots on her face and her ears that were missing, and
my God,
it would have been really horrific.
Anyways,
like, horrific. She would have been like white as a ghost.
So a lot of his moving forward, please.
Horrible
a lot
death.
of his work is themed around the death of women, and this is due to losing his mother and his foster mom
and witnessing
his wife. And a lot of
his mom died the same way.
Yeah.
With the TB.
Yeah.
And then his wife died that way.
Yeah.
That's really traumatizing.
So, anyways, Edgar went back to Richmond.
Yeah.
Back to the beginning. And he got back with Sarah. Remember Sarah?
Oh, the one that got married? She's divorced
the
now.
sweetheart,
Or
Sarah.
either widowed.
Yeah. So so now it's September 27th, 1849. He left Richmond, Virginia, headed for Philadelphia for business. And he was going to travel by train. But he never made the train.
Oh.
Uh-huh. On October 3rd, 1849, Edgar was found semi-conscious in Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. By Joseph W. Walker, who said he was in, quote-unquote, great distress and in need of immediate attention. Walker took him to Washington Medical College, and he died on October 7th at 5 a.m. He was never conscious long enough to tell them what happened in those missing days, why that happened, like where he was. He kept calling out the name Reynolds. And his last words were, "Lord, help my poor soul."
Who's Reynolds?
I don't know. Nobody knows. Unfortunately, all medical records are gone. Even his death certificate.
Did they do an autopsy on him?
They didn't have that then.
They had autopsies.
They didn't
of
have...
some sort. Maybe not like we're thinking now.
Well, no, but like...
They had some sort of...
Okay, but now all the medical records are gone.
So even if they did...
His death certificate is even gone.
They could have tested him for poison.
Uh-huh.
If anything.
Yeah. So...
My throat's dry.
What happened to him? Let's go on the theories. I'm gonna go
Poisoned.
I'm gonna go
Reynolds.
from the top to like the easy ones to the really crazy like the good ones.
Aliens.
Right? The good ones. No aliens
I'm
actually.
I'm kidding.
So the first one is simply just alcoholism. He went on a bender, got sick while on a bender, when you have alcoholism, my mom died from this, liver failure, kidney failure, and that can cause the delirium state that he was found in. So maybe he got drunk and he was already kind of like, hiding it, but not feeling well. That's how my mom was. She was hiding it, not really hiding it, just like not feeling well, feeling a little off, like what the fuck is wrong with me? Finally went to the doctor. And then she was in a complete delirium. She tried to drink water from a piece of paper. She thought she thought that my little cousin was never born, and that my cousin, who had my little cousin, who is now 20 with a child of her own at this time, was my. She thought that was my cousin, who is now 40. She was all confused.
Yeah,
that's
understandable.
She was thinking that my cousin was only like 18, 17, and I don't know where I play into this, because I was born when my cousin was like 12. So at that point, then I should only be 5. So who the fuck is driving you around, Mom? It was all fucked up. So anyways.
Sounds like dementia a little bit.
Yeah, it was. And that's what happens when your livers and your kidneys and everything go. You do. You're in this like weird delirium state. Mm-hmm. So speaking of sickness, maybe it wasn't alcoholism. It could have been TB, rabies, carbon monoxide poisoning, or heart disease. It could be anything that just put him into like this weird state, and he got confused, lost.
But why saying that name?
I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well,
I'll tell you that
part
we
of
never.
The delirium.
Yeah. Well, so heart disease is being the most unlikely, but TB was rampant at that time, as we know,
and that could cause hallucinations too. I believe,
and it can mimic all the symptoms that he was having in the days before his death, as well as rabies and carbon monoxide poisoning. So that could all be what happened.
Could be tuberculosis mixed with alcoholism.
Yep. Or it could be a brain lesion or a brain tumor. And of course, back then, there was no like MRI, X-ray, or CT scans. So he may not have even known if there was something going on in his head like that. He wouldn't even know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they didn't have the capabilities to look inside.
Some people have said suicide, and he did suffer from depression, but why would he be in the hospital for days after being found unless he poisoned himself for a slow and agonizing death? It doesn't make sense.
I feel like if people are going to commit suicide, most likely they're not going to poison themselves. That they're like, I think that I read a study that people that do poison themselves more often women will take pills. Like they'll overdose on pills.
Most women shoot themselves in the heart.
Well, I read one that most women, and I don't know how accurate it is, because you read one that said women shoot themselves.
Oh, no, I heard it from a policeman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That they'll
That's what he's just seen.
They'll eat, take too many pills and overdose, so they just, it's more, peaceful or whatever. I don't know how peaceful it is.
I don't think it's peaceful.
I don't know how peaceful it is.
Yeah.
But in their, they're not in their right mind either.
Yeah.
If you're doing that. You're somewhere else. You're not in...
Yeah.
So they're not making good choices, obviously.
Yeah.
So they're just out of it. And so I think for men, I thought it was more shooting themselves.
Men, it's shooting, if they do shoot themselves, it's in the head, and women, it's in the heart.
Because, let's see. I'm trying to think of the people that I know that have committed suicide, and it's been gun related.
Yeah.
And shooting.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The shooting is more prevalent than...
Mm-hmm.
Well, and a lot of times when you overdose on... When you do try to kill yourself that way with pills, you don't succeed. So, that's why there's, gun is instant. Anyways, another one is murder. Once again, wouldn't he be dead on arrival if he was murdered?
No, not necessarily.
But unless he was poisoned... Okay.
They could have put something in his alcohol and poisoned him that way, knowing he's going to drink. Because they used to do that, in the medieval times. They would remember they would put it in the wine.
They did that in Coco.
Well, they did that always, but I just remember
in the Disney movie Coco.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
Hector was poisoned.
Mm-hmm. I just remember they would put it in the wine, so for the royals, they would be like, "Are you gonna drink?"
And that's why they would cheers.
Here, you take mine, and I'll take yours.
Well, do you know why they cheers? The reason why they cheers, and that's been so long, is because when you cheers beers, all the beers spill on each other. So then that way, if there's poison in any of them, you're all poisoned. So you better. That's why you cheers together, and that's why all the liquid is moving everywhere. So then that way you're like, well. There you go.
You poison me, you're going down.
You're dead too. And if you won't cheers, then I'm not drinking with you.
Or if you're super elite, then you have people that taste things for you first.
Yeah.
And then they die because they took a sip first, and then it's okay.
So, this is the most compelling, fun theory that I saved for last.
Mm-hmm.
Cooping. This theory started in 1872, so a few years after he died, a few decades after he died. But what is cooping? I'll tell you what cooping is.
I have no idea what cooping is.
Cooping was how politicians rigged the elections in the 1800s. It was very, very popular in Baltimore, where he was found. It was super popular.
What is it?
It is when people would be kidnapped, drugged, and then taken to a holding type cell.
Oh.
So it was like a chicken coop, which is where it got the name cooping.
Yeah.
When
you're cooped up.
Yes. And when it was time for the election, they would then take the victims to vote multiple times for whichever candidate.
Election fraud?
Yes.
Now they just bring illegals in.
But because it was back then.
Oh, they're cooping. A different way.
Exactly. So election fraud has been going on for years.
Wow.
For centuries. Victims were given alcohol and drugs to keep them in a delirium. They were also threatened if they put up a fight to be hurt or whatever. And Edgar may have been found after enduring a week of cooping. And they would not only just take them to one voting poll, they would booth or whatever, they would just parade them around everywhere.
Now they give them an apartment and a stipend and a job,
right? No, but back then they would keep them all together, and then they would take them and they would keep them all drugged up and whatever, and then they would take him to each place, and if they went out of line, they'd beat them, all this shit, right? So maybe he was overdosing and in a delirium,
but due to
the cooping. Isn't that fucking insane?
Actually, election fraud. Okay, if he's already an alcoholic, it would be easy to like get him like, come on, let's go, and like, what if they all went to a bar together and they're all like, woo, having fun, and next
then
thing
they
you know,
take them all, round them all up,
when they're all out of it, and next thing you know,
he could have just fallen in line with that.
Yeah,
isn't that crazy?
That if I comply and I do this, I'll be let go eventually, or whatever, not murdered.
Yeah. Isn't that insane?
Yeah, that is definitely insane. And
yeah, like,
I wouldn't put it past any politician, really.
Yeah, no, I can't either. That's so crazy that...
The only other thing would just be simple alcoholism. I mean, the guy was a drunk.
Yeah. That would make
allegedly.
Sense.
I don't know.
And I would assume that he was pretty, like, quote-unquote, cooped up. No pun intended. Just being with his wife who was dying.
Or tuberculosis.
Yeah.
Tuberculosis is probably, actually, now that I think more about it, maybe the top one, honestly. Because what I researched, I had to research.
God, who cares? Let's talk about cooping more. How crazy is that they did that to rig the election? So do you know what that means? That means that that our entire political system, if they were doing that then, they'd been doing it for years. Our entire political system America is based off of a lie and not what the people want.
I don't doubt that he probably was cooped up, but I think he had TB during it too.
Probably.
I think
probably
it was a combination.
Everything. All sorts of shit.
Alcoholism, TB, and cooping.
Do you understand the America that we know, if it had actually been voted on by the people, for the people, it would not be the America we know now? Because every elected official, not every elected, but there have been several elected officials due to cooping and people voting wrong. And this has nothing to do with the Donald Trump.
Well, it's not even people voting wrong.
Not
people
voting wrong, but
how they want to vote.
Yeah.
But it's a manipulation of the vote.
And counting wrong. And
or
this and that.
having people who are deceased are voting.
Yeah.
People who are not even citizens voting.
If it was all a fair
people
vote.
voting multiple times. Ballots getting thrown away.
Yeah, so if it was all a fair vote, if everything was fair, I wonder what America would look like now if it was all fair.
I really feel like it's a script and they're all just puppets, honestly. Like, Biden is a puppet.
Oh, for sure he is.
Biden is a puppet. I don't care which way if you're a Democrat,
I don't care. You have to
Republican,
see that shit.
Independent, it doesn't matter what you
wandering off stage.
He doesn't even, it's like, it's elder abuse. No, I work with the elderly. It's elder abuse.
I know.
Dude doesn't even know what day it is half the time.
He doesn't, or
it's really sad. Yeah, and they're manipulating him and using him. And I feel bad for the guy. If anything, like he's somebody's son. He's a human being. Like, I'm not saying like what he's done is great or bad, whatever. I don't care about that. I'm just saying that like I feel bad for him as a senior. It's sad to see them do that to him because it's not right.
100%.
It's not right.
No,
like,
100%. He is a puppet. And he's just a really bad puppet. Because if everyone is a puppet, he's really sucking at his job.
The thing is he has dementia. I'm something, convinced he doesn't even know really what's going on.
No, and it's so
that's
shitty.
That's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah, so there that is. Yay. All right, well.
We're not the first or the last to say that.
No. But so there is the end of Edgar Allan Poe. And we found out what cooping is. So that's a new political term that we've never known before. Cooping. Yeah, so thank you guys so much for listening.
Don't let your vote get cooped. Vote, everyone.
Well, they'll just drag you away anyways and make you vote the way that they want to.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah. So.
Fight that shit.
Okay, well, thank you guys so much for listening. Don't forget to share, like, and subscribe. And
follow us on Instagram and TikTok, and if it's still around, and YouTube. For sure, YouTube. Find us on YouTube because we have a lot of...
Biden has now banned TikTok officially today. So
we don't know if it's going to go through.
We don't know that. I just keep seeing the news reports on it, so we'll see.
We'll see, yeah.
But, and you can email us at conspiraciesunlocked@gmail.com. Bye! Oh my gosh, you went on a whole rant.
Biden. Well, it's what it, like, yeah, that's what I thought of.
Oh no. Oh my god.
What happened?
We're offline.
We're
no.
offline?
Okay, guys. Thank you guys so much for listening and loving.
And thank you to, let's see, who do I see there?
I have no idea.
Carlos and...
Hi, Carlos.
Hi, Daniel. Hi, Steve.
Hi, Daniel.
Hi,
Steve.
Char. And I can't see anybody else right now.
I can't even get on here to end it. You're going to have to end it, Heather.
Okay, I guess I'm going to get up.
God, not get up. We're having such technical error. Bye.
Bye. Bertha, Mayo, Simon,
Annette,
Larissa. I'm not saying names I can't pronounce. Fernando, Francisco, Christina, Madalena, Cheapo, Stillis.
Okay, bye.
Bye.